Today is all about perception, including interoception and sensory processing, and intuition. And it's all about neuroception. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen briefly. So I'm not going to hover too long on this, but we had a little look at the nervous system. And this, you just needed to remember that there is a central and a peripheral nervous system, right? And then the peripheral nervous system is split into the somatic, which is like your muscles and your skin, your senses, and the autonomic or visceral nervous system. And then the autonomic or visceral is split into sympathetic and parasympathetic, which is where we were going with this. And we went through polyvagal theory. And this is coming back to this picture. Last week, we looked at the hierarchy. And today we're looking a bit about neuroception, the subconscious safety radar, or the whispers from within. And just as a quick reminder, because I went to great lengths to find the pictures, and Mark, you missed them last week, that we originally used to talk about just fight and flight and rest and digest. Fight and flight, yeah, rest and digest. Nothing gets done in that picture. Fight and flight, rest and digest. And actually, with polyvagal theory, we went a little bit further because you've got ventral vagal, calm and connected. So not quite the lying back, eating grapes of just resting and digesting. A little bit more socialization in there. Sympathetic, which is exactly what was in that picture. Either running, fighting, scary stuff. And then down at the bottom, dorsal vagal. Shut down, collapse. And some of you will be familiar with this. Yeah, that's how I've been feeling, actually. I'm feeling a bit better now, but that's how I left London, Mark. That is how I left London.
Terribly sorry to make you come to London, Helen. That was my bad. I then infected you, and I think COVID as well as exhausted you in London. So apologies.
It took 6 weeks. Okay, so neuroception. What is neuroception? Anybody, any idea what neuroception means? Is the word familiar? You can nod. Ooh. Is it familiar, but you have absolutely no idea? You've heard of it, but you actually don't know what it is. Or is it sensory feedback? Well, kind of, Kim. That's in there. Something to do with how safe you are. Yes, sort of. It's actually not how safe you are as such. It's the signals of safety and danger that you're unconsciously reading, or your nervous system is unconsciously reading from the environment. So it is a quote, the body's subcortical automatic process of detecting cues of safety and cues of danger. Do you know any of your own cues of safety and cues of danger? Question. It's a kind of trick question because you don't even know what I'm talking about. But have a look at the screen in gallery view and smile. Smile as you do it. And then look at the smiling faces.
I noticed Luke's familiar, and I was like, "Oh, there's Luke. I haven't seen him. There's a familiarity." Or when I heard a British accent when I was in Czechia, and I hadn't heard one in like a month or so. I was like, "Oh," I just kind of relaxed, you know.
And they accuse of safety. Whereas if you're in your home and you're exhausted and tired and suddenly there's loud beating music through the floor, that could be a cue of danger. Didn't that happen to you today, Mark? Didn't you suddenly find music coming through the
Briefly today, but a full rock band yesterday for the whole afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. So the cues of safety and cues of danger, you're processing them unconsciously, but they're not universal. Some are universal, some are specific to you. So the smiling faces are generally positive for most people. But I might have a history with a Luke. I might have a history with a Luke, and therefore the Luke face, he hasn't put his name, but if he'd put his name, Luke, then that would be a cue of danger for me to see that. Or I might have an aversion to the orangey coloured background of Leonora's wall behind her, or curtains. And so seeing that may make me panic, even if I haven't even realized what the reason is. Actually, when I did the polyvagal training with Deb Dana, they suggested, you have to kind of check your entire environment to make sure there's no cues of danger hanging in there. And I'm like, well, knights, swords, knives, it's not so good in here. So you don't know what they are necessarily, but you are taking them in all day long. And the cues, how do you get the cues? How do you take in cues of safety and cues of danger? I mean, it kind of, you know the answer, right? Through your senses, and not just your senses. How else do you take them in? Any offerings through sensations internally. So, perception as a layered process. What is perception? Mark led us through a centering of perception through external senses. The 5 senses. I have to think then. Sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. So you're used to that. You're taking in information all the time. But some of you are very sensory sensitive. Does anybody know that they're a particularly sensory sensitive person? It's strongly, sensory sensitivity is strongly linked with certain health conditions, trauma, neurodiversity. And you might be a sensory seeker, because you can be both sensitive and a seeker. Who's a sensory seeker? You can actually tell by looking at my background. Look, this is my living room, so I am a sensory seeker. There's stuff, there's textures, textured cushion. I've always got, look at the jewelry. That just tells you I'm a sensory seeker, right?
And there's different senses for different people, right? Like noise drives me crazy, but my niece, who also has ADHD, she can't stand like uncomfortable clothes. Like when she was little, she'd come in from school and just tear all her clothes off immediately and go put on something comfortable because she just couldn't stand like labels and things like that. And that never bothered me. But like the person who invented the beeping on vans when they reverse, that person should be taken outside. Anyway.
That person should. And that also links to the perception in memory and patterning. So beeps and vans and microwaves and my history of bleeps in emergency situations. Reversing bands make me jump. My kids, both autistic, couldn't be doing with labels. And one would permanently be in grubby socks because they were softer. Like clean socks could be a bit crispy, can't they? Grubby, until they get too grubby. Grubby socks and no other clothes. That was it. He just walked around all day naked until he was about 18. It's terrible. So perception, sensory processing, which is individual to you and your mood. Noise. Mark, you said you're sensitive to noise. Are you more sensitive when you're tired and hungry?
Yeah, for sure. It's actually a really good indicator of the state of my nervous system is how much things bother me noise-wise.
Yeah. So how you take in and respond to the information alters on because of your state. Last week I said to you at one point, you may or may not remember, how are you nervous systeming? What is your baseline? Are you got a bit too much sympathetic? Are you quite dorsally? Because if you start to notice where you are, then it might make sense how you're processing something. So perception, sensory processing is one part. Interoception, this isn't even neuroception yet. There's lots of septions going on. Interoception. Anyone know what that means? Any yoga teachers in the audience? Yoga teachers like to talk about interoceptive awareness. I can see typing. Right, so I get impatient. Position of the body. That is another seption. That is proprioception. Proprioception is where I am in space. Close your eyes, touch your nose a few times with your eyes shut. That's you knowing where your nose is. But exactly, Lisa, are you a yoga teacher? No. Well, extra gold star. How you are on the inside. What is calling your attention? And we become skilled as adults of banishing interoceptive noise. For example, if you're hungry and you're too busy, you suppress it. If you're tired, Mark's yawning. If you're tired, but you've got too much to do, you suppress it. If you are desperate for a wee, but you haven't got time, you suppress it, right? You suppress the signals from the body until it fits in with the convenience of your life. Same applies to interoceptive. Then Kim, you can go to the toilet. We'll still be here when you come back. The same happens with if you're stressed, you are likely to suppress the signals on the inside. If you are in chronic pain, you suppress the signals. Nobody likes being in pain. And the first thing that people tend to do is suppress it, but that doesn't help. Okay, so where are we? Perception, sensory processing, because this is all the stuff that you're taking in. This is all the stuff that's going through your body, and we still haven't got to neuroception. Sensory processing, interoception on the inside. Intuition, what is that? What is intuition all about? Who's got good intuition? How do you know? What is it? What is it? Can you define it? Not really. It's like, of course I think so, because I can feel it. My dad used to say, because I can feel it in my water. a signal from the inside. Now we're getting closer to interoception. So and so with intuition, yeah. So something highly likely to be linked to memory and patterning, highly likely to be linked to some sensory input. Maybe they looked at you the wrong way. Highly likely to be linked to an interoceptive sensation. Ooh, butterflies in your tummy. And then all of that feeds into neuroception. Neuroception, your body's automatic detecting of cues of safety and cues of danger. So how does it do that? It does it through all of those things, including memories, patterning, experiences. So when we say, and I say a lot all the time, but actually, Mark, you taught me, awareness is everything. Awareness is everything. So start becoming aware of what you are sensing and what that might mean. Okay. In one sentence or 3 words, what is neuroception? Drop it in the chat. What is neuroception? I know I've just asked you, I know I've just explained, but I'm just checking if you're listening. And so, as you're writing, I won't say it. I'll just wait till you've written it. Yeah. Cues, that's a brilliant thing to take away. Cues of safety and cues of danger, information on safety. And the listening of your nervous system comes from within, from without, from memory, and it's all of it. Yeah.
There's a distinction here, right, Helen? It's not, people often now say they sort of misread porges and say, I feel safe. But it's not that. It's unconscious assessments of safety, right? And it could be, as you say, like someone called Luke beat you around the head when you were little, and that's not on him, right?
Yeah. It doesn't mean it's truth. It doesn't mean it's truth. And that's why it's important to recognize that it's the unconscious cues. And those unconscious cues can be helpful, but if you're stressed or you've got a big dollop history of trauma, then they might be, your nervous system might be a little bit overprotective, caring for you.
Yeah, I find cross-culturally they're easy to misread as well. Like in Czechia with Lucia and I, like people are so rude. The older people are so rude, and a lot of it's just like they've got a pretty different cultural expression, less smiling. You know, Natalia's here from Poland, which got a bit of that, and it's like we would often misunderstand that as unfriendliness when actually it was just pretty normal there.
Yeah. Okay. Before we move on, mini skill. 5 breaths. These are not the breaths to take away. They're just 5. 5 for you to take away. Number 1, a sigh. nourishing, regulating, beautiful for your nervous system. Number 2, extended exhale. Breathe in for 2 and out for 4. And repeat. Sigh, extended exhale. Number 3, VOO breath. VOO. Sigh, extended exhale, VOO. Number 4, it's actually called bead breath, but I prefer to call it bumblebee breath. Bumblebee breath. Fingers in ears, hum. I've got a short breath today. Sigh, extended exhale, VOO, bumblebee. Number 5, a yawn with a stretch. It's the only infectious reflex in the body. You see someone yawn, you want to yawn. Why have I added those in? They tap into your parasympathetic nervous system. They bring regulation. Even if your neuroception is telling you there's a bit of danger about, and you don't even know, 5 breaths to take. Okay, some exploration. So this is an invitation to move and feel. And as I said last week, be careful what you feel into. If you're feeling into anything stressful or difficult, calibrate it. So only go for little things. Those 5 breaths, you can just do one at a time. You can practice all of them over a 15-minute period. But when you're picking one, you can just pick one at a time. Okay, sensory tracking and gentle movement. So you might stand up or you might just sit back in your chair and take in the room around you. I will stand up. Begin with stillness and look. What can you see in the space? And notice what's going on in your body. So pick something to look at. And it might be something nice. It might be something like a picture that you like. And notice how you are on the inside, how you are nervous systeming with that thing there. Pick something else. And it might be, I don't know, might be your pile of post of brown envelopes that we get in the UK with letters that contain bills. And that might not be so nice. And notice the response on the inside. It's subtle shifts and changes. Notice the temperature on your skin. And as you notice the temperature, how do you respond to that on the inside? Take some movement, some rolling of your wrists. Maybe extend it through your arms and notice what happens in your body as you do that. Is that good? Is that nourishing? And pause. And smell. We will come back to smell. What can you smell in the space? There are layers of scent. You can smell yourself. Maybe you get kind of used to that. You stop smelling yourself. You can smell a cushion. You can smell a book. The smell of a book can bring something good, something not so good. Smelling your work bag because it's full of files or stuff from work might bring a different internal shift in your nervous system. Let go of that. Have a bit of a stroke of your skin. The touch. Notice the response. Maybe touch your legs as well, stroking. And what are you doing? You're receiving touch. You're letting your body know where it is in space. You might also be nurturing and nourishing, bringing a bit of sense of safety. Tapping can be good, but something sharp. Don't anybody get anything really sharp, but something cold or something a bit of an unpleasant sensation if you're not expecting it. Cold drink. Ooh. What does that do? How do you respond on the inside? Okay, try movement. Imagine you're late. You're really, really late for something and you have to rush, rush. And imagine it just for a moment, just gently calibrate it, but you've got to get there. How does that feel? You gotta rush, you gotta get there. And then slow and gentle. And you've got all the time in the world. How is that on the inside? Rocking, having a self-care hug, coming back to the screen to look at the other people and noticing, how are you nervous systeming right now in this moment? Are you anchored in ventral with a little bit of sympathetic activation from excitement, from fun, from playfulness? Are you actually just anxious, fully in sympathetic? That was a pain to do. I just want to get on. I don't know what I'm doing. Are you exhausted, fatiguey, sluggish, and can't even take in the room around you? What is going on for you right now? Drop it in the chat. You know, when your nervous system is taking, what if I can't tell? Yeah, that's a beautiful question. What if I can't tell? I'll come back to that in a second. Flowing, but with a nugget of anxiety in the chest that tells me something I cannot hear. Beautifully put, right? Flowing, okay, something's smooth, something's good, right? But there's something here. Locating it is really good. It's in the chest. It's something odd. Is it tight? Is it bright? Is it wired? Is it scrunchy? But it's telling you something. Yes. You won't always know what it's telling you, but it's telling you something. Quite a lot of sympathetic and dorsal, it seems. Yes, they can have at the same time. You've got all of it going on at the same time, quite frankly. You're never like completely just in one. But one tends to dominate. Together is like tired and wired. I'm exhausted, but I can't sleep. Frozen headlights, cannot sleep, cannot move. More towards fatigue, dorsal. Yeah. So let's go back up to Annie. What if I can't tell? It takes practice to tell. For years, you've been suppressing the signals. If you can't tell, start with hunger. Am I hungry? Am I hungry? What is this sensation in my body? How do I know I'm hungry? Where do I feel it? If you can't tell, sometimes it'll show. Like, for example, Mark, have you ever been really, really angry and not realized till you snapped?
What? I'm not angry. What are you talking about? It's not my period.
Just like, oh, he raises a good point. He does raise a good point. He does.
No,
So,
no. How do people, I think a really good indicator is how are people responding to me, right? Like, are they smiling? Are they looking anxious? Like, I can tell, particularly people I know what state I'm in. Sometimes I can feel it, sometimes I can't, right? But I
yeah,
can always see how people are responding.
yeah. If I get, not you personally, if I get too wound up, you can develop a mist and not see the response. It's like you don't want to see the response, but that's information in itself, right? So, what if you can't tell? You will be able to learn to tell. And the point about this is begin to map your own nervous system. Why is that important? Because you'll never know that you're on the route to burnout if you can't map your own nervous system.
It's also
All right.
behaviors, right, Helen? Like
Yeah.
like I haven't been comfort eating much lately, and I'm like, oh, that's a green flag, as the kids would say. I'm like, yeah, I'm not overeating. That's cool. And I know if I'm sort of more stressed, baddest, some worse stage in life, that's something I tend to do, right? So it's
Yeah.
behavioral indicators.
Yeah. So Annie, for you, that might mean mapping the behaviors first to track back to how you feel on the inside. And it might be really, really subtle what the shifts are, what you feel, what you notice. Okay, we're going to have a breakout room shortly. That's warning to our beautiful assistant of the breakout rooms, Barbara, who's very good. 5 voice things to do. These are like to scatter into your day when you're too stressed, right? They overlap slightly. Number 1 with the voice, hum. And I don't mean bumblebee breath. I mean hum a song, right? Or whistle. Doesn't have to make any sense to anyone else. That humming brings you down. It taps into a little bit of parasympathetic. Number 2, sing. You can sing now. We can't hear you. Or put on, I've got this clever new device and I say its name and it plays me music. It's a little bit freaky actually, but play the music, sing the song. Sing the song. Doesn't matter if you get the words right or wrong. Number 1, hum. Number 2, sing. Number 3, chant. Chanting, prayers, whatever is your thing. The yoga classic one is Om, but chanting and tuning into chanting in groups is really powerful. Again, these are not things to do all at once. Humming, singing, chanting. Number 4, affirmations. I say this with care. I do not mean say things like, I am perfectly calm and will be calm forevermore. I mean things like being kind to yourself, like, I accept myself as I am today. I have compassion for how I feel today. But speak it. And number 5, reading aloud, be it poetry, Winnie the Pooh from a book, a children's story. The act of reading a story aloud and the intonation will tap into your nervous system. Okay. Breakout rooms. Yeah, I like that. I'm human. I thought you were confessing that, but I see what you're saying. An affirmation, a thing to say.
I like those because they're not too like sometimes it feels fake. I'm like, I am amazing in every way. It's like too much, right? But if I'm learning, I'm human, it's like it's workable.
Yeah. And believable to yourself, right? So in breakout rooms, what are the signals your body uses or your behavior, your presentation to others that your body is using to get your attention? And what might you have noticed extra now? What have you been alerted to today? 33, 43, 10 minutes? 10 minutes? 10 minutes, all right? You want 10 minutes? Yeah, good. 10 minutes. See what you come back with. Thank you, Barbara. We'll come back. Okay. So what have you learned about your nervous system? Do drop it in the chat. We've got we've got time for a couple of voices if you want to share. Do you want to share? Just stick a hand up. Oh, you don't have to share. It's okay. The look of horror. Oh, yeah. Not that. There you go.
Hi. I wanted to share also because I had this question that it came up also in my group where I said the cues, for example, for me are headaches or migraines and back pain. I know this is a cue that I feel stressed or there is, some things happening in myself, but then I wasn't sure if these are cues or these are the responses and the cues is the event that happened outside that impacted me.
Yeah. I think you pick up something really good there because I think that's probably the response that it's been going on for some time. And the cue, so maybe the thing to do is then backtrack. What were the cues that came first? What was there before that? Because there's probably a story led up to that. Yeah.
So the cue is more for example, I said, oh, it was this conversation that I had with this person, or something that happened. Is that the cue? But
the cue might be the way the person spoke to you, or the way the room was, how you felt and responded in that conversation. And then the outcome down the line
is my body's response. Yeah.
Beautiful. Lovely.
Thank you. Thanks.
You. Anybody else? So your mission is to start to try and track your own nervous system. Leonora.
Yeah. We just realized, both as Italian in German, Spanish in the Netherlands, Russian in Finland, that even if, for instance, some faces or some way of being, for me as Italian, there means like danger. But I know, my brain knows that it's not like that. It's just normal. It's different culture. So my brain knows, my body doesn't really get it still. I mean, after 12 years. So this means that still, yeah, what my brain knows doesn't, my body still doesn't get, and would prefer a different way.
Yeah. And actually there's a comment in the chat now as well, ignoring the small stuff leads to the body shouting. So your body gets it in the end regardless, or your brain might get it intellectually, but picking it up early is really, really hard work and requires intention, because if you don't pick it up, your body will shout. That's right. Yeah, beautiful. And that is it. Thanks, everybody.